Defend.
Welcome, everybody, to Attack and Defend, the show where we will present a topic like we will today, and one person will attack, one person will defend, and then we'll have a person in the middle, a neutral, if you will, who will prevent the overrunning of one idea to another. I am your moderator this week, Michael Valtrades, and this week we are talking about battle/fight passes for fighting games, attacking and presenting the argument for why they are needed. You're one of the best commentators in the game, TB Roderick G.
You got that backwards.
Thank you. See, yeah.
I'm gonna have to defend this. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. See, I was trying to lead people in so they could just like go ahead and state, while they're doing this, whatever was right. But yeah, Cham is right. He's defending the fighting passes, and Roderick is saying that they're ridiculous. And in the middle, give your favorite Canadian, Gibby Gibertson, who will state their own opinions.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna try to do this like an actual debate, and I want to give each person 2 minutes, and I'm not putting the clock up, but 2 minutes or less to establish their point of view on the topic. So Roderick, impassioned Roderick, I'm gonna let you speak first, man. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, we should end battle passes for fighting games because this ain't Fortnite. This ain't Black Ops. We know why these companies are putting out these battle passes. It's very simple. It's not because they're starving for money. You got $60 for the base game. You got $30 for a season pass. And you turn right back around and you want another $20 for a premium battle pass. And by the way, the premium battle pass, that's a paywall in itself. And it's only got like one or two things I really want. And then the base battle pass has nothing. I don't care about a sticker. Are you kidding me? A sticker? Let's call this what it is. The battle pass system in general is engagement. It's to keep you there, to keep you playing the game. Hey, what do I get exactly if I keep playing the game? Oh yeah, sticker, effect. Maybe I have one thing in that battle pass that I really want, but guess what? I can't get it because guess what? I have to pay another $20 for a premium battle pass. Look, we're not against the companies making money, but at some point you gotta stop nickeling and diming your consumer. At some point, the well runs dry, and we're the FGC. Come on now. We don't have hundreds of dollars to keep spending on the game. I already spent $100, and I got to spend more every season. $30 a season to keep characters going. At some point, the Battle Pass system has outlived its usefulness and needs to die.
Some would argue that the FGC can't even pay $50 for a fighting collection. Cham, you have the floor.
All right. So obviously he's very passionate about it, but we're gonna kind of break down this whole deal. Nobody in the FGC now is young. They're not. This is not new to anybody. Okay, we were all playing before DLC was ever a thing, and we all said the same thing. Man, how come I can't just have one game and then just add on characters? We got what we wanted. Why is it so much of a problem? Yeah, you know what? I will say that there is an entry cost, but I like having that extra badge that people didn't when they turn around and buy the game 6 months down the road. You know what? I like getting into it and learning and figuring out what the meta is at the beginning so I can adjust it as I'm going. I don't got to learn the whole thing from scratch. So you know what? I'm getting what I want. We're getting exactly what we want. We have a solid game that gets put out. We turn around and can then, at that point, make our word known to adjust this and turn it into what we feel it needs to be as it grows and as it changes. And along the way, we're getting other characters. We're getting backgrounds. We're getting essentially a game that grows. It's no different than something like a WoW, except they pay every month. I'd rather pay in one shot, get a bunch of content that flows in as we're going. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can complain, but you know what? If you're a broke boy, just say so. In this FGC, I mean, we're not kids anymore. We're not on a freaking school lunch budget. Come on. Just you got to move forward. Times change now. Unlike stuff back when Marvel 2 came out, we were stuck with how the game played. Now we have the chance to get DLC. We have the chance to turn around and get balance changes and patches that don't turn around and take us to have to go buy a super hyper turbo fighter 2 just to turn around and get a new game. It's ridiculous. It's the same game. They just sped it up and they added 4 characters. Why am I going to go buy a whole new game on a different console for the thing that I can do in one shot and just have it go through the next season?
Wow.
It's where it's got to be. It's new. We're not old. We're not young. It's new stuff. Get with the new stuff or don't go.
Wow. That man really quoted the Pokemon and said, "If you're a broke boy, just say so." That's crazy. But also, there's someone who I'd like to hear from this. As someone who's new to fighting games, relatively new, only been playing a couple years. Gibby, what are your thoughts on this subject?
It's interesting because it's like both ways, right? Like, I don't know. It's good in the sense where you can spend like $40-$60 and get a game and never have to worry about extra content that you need to buy later. But at the same time, to Champ's point, right? I don't want to buy Street Fighter Turbo Hyper Fighting Edition. But nowadays I could just it just comes out as a free update almost for the game to get a balance patch like that. But at the same time, like, is the modern day model the best way to go? I think realistically, like, companies are trying something new right now because realistically they weren't making enough money on the games that they were providing for everybody. They gave out the game, and I guess essentially like they're not making enough money to keep the game alive or keep the companies or keep those employees' salaries paid. So they're trying something else so that they can continue to make games in a healthy way and have employees happy at the end of the day. But at the same time, we have games that are coming out that, I don't know, they release content and it's just lazy. It's the same stuff that we got in the last game. So there's got to be a fine line where we find, okay, well, my money still, if I am paying money on a monthly basis, you have to make it worth it for me to pay for it. I don't want to buy the stuff that I bought like a year ago in the last game. That's the same problem again with the Turbo Hyper Fighting. So I don't know. It could go both ways. I think in general right now the gaming industry's model is strange, and sadly we are guinea pigs as consumers. But that's what I have for it.
So you'd rather just have everything either upfront or have everything new? Is that your stance on it?
It's like I like some of the things that the new stuff brings, but like updates to the game or like corrections that maybe we would have never gotten previous games. Like you look at a game like Donkey Kong 64, where it's got crazy amount of glitches in the game, right? If that got one balance patch, would that be a completely different game? I don't know. Would it be cooler? Like those things are awesome in itself, but I don't know if, yeah, the way that they make you pay for everything right now is pretty crazy. Especially when games are like free to play and then they also do the monthly subscription and they seem to still make a lot of money. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the model of paying $80-$90 and then also paying for monthly or weekly items is the way to go. But
it's very simple, Gibby. It's anti-consumer. It is absolutely anti-consumer. You have paid for the base game, which, by the way, you don't get the base game when the game comes out. You have to wait months down the road in the promise of the base game and the DLC making up that. Okay.
Hold on. Do you pay for balance changes?
I mean, in a sense, you do. Do you pay for season passes?
Well, hold on.
Wait. Do you pay for season passes?
You're right, but that's the point. That's where that money ends up going to. It's going to the pockets of these people because they work for it. Don't get me wrong, but that's where the work that goes in for these balance changes and these other backgrounds and stuff that they end up throwing out, whatever it is, the creation of Tekken shirts and outfits and all this other stuff. It's got to go somewhere.
Okay, but Cham, here's a dirty little secret of that. The platform is not the same. You have created a service model platform. So if you're going to create a service model, if the game is going to come out and then you're going to say, okay, here's the game. and then you're going to say, okay, here's the DLC. You're not doing that. You're saying this is a service model program. You're going, here's the promise of the game. And then we're going to build on that foundation. But all along the way, you're getting paid to build that foundation. I paid for the house, but I'm still paying for the foundation in the promise that one day the house will be a big, beautiful thing. That's not necessarily the case.
Do you not pay for electricity? Do you not pay for water? How do you think your house runs?
I'm
just saying. Oh, no. That's all tied together in this entire situation because you have to have it all together in order to go forward. If you don't pay for it, you're never going to get a 7. You're never going to get Street Fighter 8. You're not going to get Tekken 9.
Understood.
Look what happened to MK1. Look what happened to MK1. Nobody supported that. Nobody supported it.
Wait a minute. You just
no.
Go ahead.
Nobody paid for it. Ain't nobody going to be able to work on it. They can't balance change it. Whether or not the game is classified, in your opinion, anything good or bad or otherwise, the money wasn't there to back it. People didn't pay for the DLC.
You don't get away with that one. I'm telling you right now. MK1 is the prime example of a house that never got finished. It was $60 for the base, $70 for the base game. And then if you wanted to play 3 days early, you had to pay an additional $30. Okay, that's $100. Okay, granted, for that $100, I got to play each of the characters that eventually came out. But what was wrong with that game? That game was it wasn't balanced at first. It was broken. It was not optimized. It took them forever to answer the community's questions on that game. And then what did they do? They came back and said, oh, we got an expansion called Chaos Reigns. And by the way, to get that expansion, to get that story expansion, it's another $60. So now you sold me on a house that never got built.
Okay, so
then you come back and
hold on. So let me direct you to Street Fighter 5. What kind of a fireball fuck mess was that at the beginning? No story at that one. What happened? Hold on. What happened? People paid into it. They bought their DLC. They made it a better game. And by the time 5 was finished, 5 was a great game.
Wait.
Hold on. So who's to say MK1 couldn't be the same?
No. There's a difference here.
Capcom versus NetherRealm? Is that the difference we're talking about?
No. Street Fighter 5 was a dumpster fire when it came out. Everybody agreed on that. But what happened is the community called them out. And they said, nope, you're going to have to do better.
Hold on. You're mixing the topic here because the topic is not hey, let's go turn around and talk about this. The topic itself is whether or not the fighting pass is good or bad. And in this case, with Street Fighter, it was good. It helped to fix that, and that money went back in to make it a better game.
So to be the objective voice in this, as far as Street Fighter 5 goes, it came out of dumpster fire. It was $40 for the first season, $40 for the second season, $40 for the third, and then they tapered down and they lowered the prices down to $20 to $30 and $25 respectively. But they were able to do that because they had by that point in time when you got to season 4, Monster Hunter World was out, and Monster Hunter World saved Capcom. Capcom was in a financial mess at that point in time. So to Chan's point, yes, they did need the money. They did need the money to fix that game in the beginning, but towards the later stages of the life of that game, they really didn't need to because they were flush with cash. You said something interesting earlier about how games get supported in the latter life. Killer Instinct's a perfect example of that, where Killer Instinct only had 3 passes: season 1, season 2, and then season 3. There hasn't been a pass for Killer Instinct, if I remember correctly, and somebody can let me know if I'm wrong, but I want to say 2017. I think that was the last real pass for it. They've made the game since then free to play, so everybody can play it now. And if you want to buy a character, you can buy a character a la carte, or it's so affordable now, you can buy the whole definitive edition for under $20. Killer Instinct's made their money. Same thing with Dragon Ball FighterZ, where Dragon Ball FighterZ continue to get patches, but there hasn't been new content for that game in over a year, minus the debacle of the PS5 and Xbox Series releases of the game.
I mean, we could also argue that balance patches aren't good for the game as well.
Agreed.
Because there's games that, Well, a good example would be Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for that collection. Nobody wanted a balance patch update for that. They just wanted the game.
I did.
No,
I
no.
completely wanted a balance patch for that game.
Right, but
I'm the one guy.
No,
I
there
know,
was
but
tons of
I'm the
people
one-
that wanted all the glitches in there.
Hold
They
on.
wanted all the
You're-
stuff that they
you're
did
right.
before.
You're right, but that I'm on the other side of that. Like, I want a balance patch for that because to me, in that situation, I'm tired of seeing the top 6 people in every single match.
But that's what makes the
It's
game.
ridiculous.
But that's what's part of the game. That's part
But-
of the
and
That's the
that's
meta
part
of
of
the game, though.
Right.
And
They've
that's-
gone so
but
in
that's-
depth.
But that's also a bad situation because in that case, A, that game never had a balance patch, and B, that game never had any type of fight pass.
Well, to be fair,
But
But
here's my
if it
thing.
was, so let's talk about it today. So today, if the game was put out brand new, never been done, you would get a fight pass, and those
Oh,
characters,
yeah.
half that board, would
Yeah.
completely be in
it
that.
wouldn't even be there. Yeah,
No.
absolutely. That's
But here's my thing. Here's my thing to Cham. Okay, we're talking about a game that was considered finished when it came out. When it came out, there was no updating that. We're talking about newer games are a service model, and that service model is a tete-a-tete, as you will, with the community saying it's not finished, but at some point it will be this. And what I'm saying is that too often in the community, we get these dry periods of no content. We get these dry periods of this, that, and the other. And it's not necessarily the developer's fault, but you gave a service model. And what I'm saying is that the content that they are putting out in these battle passes does not justify having them any longer. They should go.
And do you want to buy an $80 game every time? Because that's what's
I'm
going to happen.
already buying
What I'm
an
telling you,
$80 game.
hold on. Right now, let's even go look at this even better. Let's go look at like an NFL 2K game or whatever you want to refer to it as. Any type of sports game. They come out every year. Are you going to spend $80 every year? Every single time that you want a new fighter in your game, you're going to want to spend that money to buy a whole new game for one of the characters.
And what I'm telling you is that with the base game being $60, the season pass being $30, I'm already paying that. That's what I'm paying for.
I could really see it both ways, where it's like, okay, I don't want to spend now $200 on a game because we don't have Fight Pass, but I don't think the model currently is the best that it could be.
Okay.
Here's
And
the
tell me,
problem.
what do you get as the consumer for your Fight Pass?
You're the guinea
Well, that's-
pig as the consumer.
hold on.
That's the
That-
bottom line. You're the,
that now-
you're just
now-
the test.
Hold on. I'll say, can you turn around and change a fight pass and be something slightly different? Sure. That's really up to the eye of the beholder in that one to say what you want in your pass versus what the company is creating in theirs. Because right now, by default, you're getting characters, you're getting backgrounds, and typically some sort of a wearable item is what we're going to call it.
And I disagree, because that's the season pass. That's what I paid for with the season pass. The battle pass is giving me stickers and maybe a background, maybe.
Okay,
For my avatar.
Okay, but we're talking about the fighting pass, not the extra battle passes with the cosmetics. We're talking about, like, locking characters behind paywalls and things of that nature. So it's
I mean, how do
it's
Go
more
ahead.
of that argument. So Gibby, for instance, right? Gibby has been screaming since day one for Tekken 8 to release Lucky Chloe. Listen, just so y'all know secretly, I am also on that train.
Please.
But I didn't want to say anything. So I guess the question, Gibby, you being the neutral party here, let me ask you this: if Tekken 8 were to announce a new fighting pass, because the fourth player is Clive, so I don't think they're doing any more in that pass. If they were to announce a new battle pass and they told you flat out, hey, we're gonna put Bruce, Mokujin, we're gonna put Fat and Slim Bob in the battle pass, but we're also gonna put Lucky Chloe. But the only way that you can get to these characters, you can't buy them a la carte. You have to buy the fight pass. Are you buying it day one? That's the real question.
Oh,
in this
okay. If it was
argument.
like a monthly thing and I had to,
No, like just one pass, like season 2, Tekken 8.
Yeah,
This
just like
is
the season
pass.
Tekken. Yeah.
Oh,
Season two,
okay.
Season 2.
That's a
Tekken
good
8.
point,
This
right?
is this
Okay,
thing.
if they said it was a trailer and they said all 4 characters, yes, I would be getting it. I would have gotten it. But how they're doing it now, where it's like one and then they I'm not getting the season 2 fight pass that way. There's no
And let me
way.
add to you, Gibby.
Oh,
Let me add to you, Gibby.
that also adds to the point. Like, I think the model is neat where I can eventually get the character that I want at the end of the day into the game. And that's cool that I can pay money actually, as opposed to like, oh, the game's out. That's it. Didn't come with Lucky Chloe. Tekken 8 here. You didn't get any updates. You know, it's vanilla. But yeah, like.
This might be the most damning portion of the argument right here, is because it's on a time limit. You only have 45 days or whatever days to complete this fight pass, and then it goes away.
This is I think we're talking about like season, like you purchase from the DLC.
Two different animals.
Okay.
So let's hold on.
The other items.
Let's change this a little bit. So Gibby, you obviously gravitated to and played Lucky Chloe, right? You really enjoy her. Not to mention, same thing with kind of like Azucena, right?
Right.
Two different characters, but as somebody who, in no offense to this, you don't really come from a fighting game background. So Tekken is really kind of one of your big fighters that you got into, you learned, you played, and you enjoy it. You love it now. And because of that love, you're into other kind of fighting games. You're dabbling into other stuff, Soul Calibur, stuff like that.
Right.
So as somebody coming into this, not knowing any background on anybody, and in this case, Lucky Chloe being her one shot in 7. So wouldn't it be beneficial for you to buy a fight pass that has multiple people that come in so you can learn and be introduced to these new characters you might have not known before? I mean, that's a positive for that, the way I'm looking at it, because for somebody who doesn't know, that's a good way to learn and test out other people. Well, I get this, I get extra backgrounds and other stuff in a bundle, and it comes across.
I would argue that it.
But you don't know. You don't know. In this case, you know now because you played Lucky Chloe. I'm talking about right now for somebody you've never played because it's a newer game to you. How do you learn these other people and other stuff? And how do you know what I mean? You're going to fall in love with somebody at some point that you get used to playing and learning.
Knowing those games, they would force you to do it. Like, a good example is Eddie Gordo in Tekken 8, right? If you actually don't buy the character and you fight them online, you can't watch any of your replays or stuff with that character. Like, you can't, like, dive into that character and figure out the matchup. You would have to purchase the character in order to watch some of that stuff. So it's like...
But we're talking pass. We're not talking single. We're talking pass. Okay. So, again, new game, new characters, new stuff, new eyes on how to play and learn a fighter from that. It's beneficial to have a pass. So you can not only get the balance changes, the DLC and stuff that comes along with it, but more characters that you can learn and test with to see if you like their style better than the base. Like the stuff as far as the replays go, that's a bonus.
Well, the replay, no, that would be part of the DLC stuff. Like that's what we're talking about, right? Is the stuff that you would purchase.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's
the pass.
That's a good thing to have, is what I'm saying.
One could argue though that was stuff that was included in games in the past. Like we think about how far we've come as a community to where we're excited that a replay system and frame data is included in a fighting pass when that stuff used to be standard in games.
Was it? Right. Was it standard and everything? Because really, into this last handful of years, it wasn't a thing
at all.
But even MVC2,
7.
Even Hitboxes and MVC2 were not a thing until the re-release.
Killer Instinct 2013 came out day one with frame data, with information and things of that nature. There are games that came out day one. Dragon Ball FighterZ is another example of that.
Yeah,
where it came out day one. So
you're right. That's within the last 10 years.
Right, but that's weird for companies to just omit that kind of stuff. You know, now back in the day when you were paying for Street Fighter 2 and then Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting or Street Fighter 2 Turbo, depending on what freaking platform you played on, then Super Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. You know, because those, let's be real, as far as Capcom goes, each and every iteration of that game was pretty much just an updated balance patch and more characters. Let's be honest. As someone who spent hundreds of dollars to buy each version of that game, I get it. So as far as like patches and updating the game and adding characters for a download or whatever else, I can see the argument. But then there's the other argument of like back in the day, you didn't have to do that. If a game didn't come shipped, then if it didn't ship the way it was supposed to, you were kind of screwed. You know, like unless you found a character in a debug menu or something like that, like you were screwed.
But that's what MVC2 is.
Let's talk about recent times though. the pandemic happens and everybody finds out the importance of rollback netcode. So are you really going back now to say that, oh, my game don't have rollback? No. There's something called minimum acceptable standards. That's like buying a microwave without a clock on it. That's not a feature.
My battle
this
pass
point,
doesn't
it has
contain rollback. That's not a battle pass piece. That's still
your
unrelatable.
But your game,
That's
you're
unrelatable. That's
but you're
balance patch
saying
stuff.
what we're saying is you're taking parts of the game that are minimum acceptable standard, moving it out and putting it as, oh, it's going to be part of the battle pass. No, that's minimally acceptable. It needs rollback. Period.
You know what I'm hearing?
There's something that we need.
Some of these features just come out as updates, right?
But
like
that's what I'm saying.
one
That's
example,
unrelated.
NBC2
That's unrelated.
came out with an update where the new game comes with rollback. Like those are just things that no one argues about is essential.
What I'm hearing from Roger right now
I get
is
too, where you say, okay, a DLC is important where you know, you still get to pay for the character, but the character should feel in a sense where it's developed now, right? I'm paying money. I should get a developed character or something that's like, is worth the pass, right?
Right.
To get stuff that like, I don't know, where it feels like a reused asset or a character and you're paying money for it. Like, is that model working still? Like, it's just, it goes both ways still, where like, I would like to pay for it, but like also I want it to work, you know, it look good. It still looked polished like I did when I purchased a polished game at a time.
Yeah.
So, nothing like that as a base game. Look, Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V was a base game that was not finished. You can turn around and argue that at all, but again, that's still secondary. The money that comes in from
but there are
all of this
games
stuff
that came out though,
like
without any updates.
You're right, but what I'm saying is that's where the polish and some of the other stuff. Don't get me wrong, it should be their day one. But if somebody's trying to get something out because the people want it. I mean, look how long it's taken for Virtual Fighter. Virtual Fighter still isn't even out yet. And that's been there on the table for how long? But when it comes out to it...
tech demo, it's like got seconds of gameplay in that stage. Like, I wonder how far that really is.
Because they don't need to show you. You want it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other trap of the season pass. Because what if let's say I don't like the characters that are in the base roster. Season pass, I don't like none of those characters. I'm not gonna pick it up. A casual player is not gonna pick it up. But the thing about it is, why not have something like a Patreon for people like that? So if that Gibby wants to help the Patreon to have fun, Lucky Chloe, he can. We have told developers about this before.
Because if you have a company start a Patreon and they're a big developer and they make a Patreon so that they can make one character, there will be a different kind of outcry from other individuals.
Agreed.
So, with that, we're gonna go around the horn and get the final thoughts, closing arguments. Roger went first last time, so Cham, I'm gonna let you go first and give your final thoughts on your stance.
So we're gonna make it short and sweet. At the end of the day, the reason that developers can do what they do is because, as players, we're supporting this. We're supporting this by getting what we want. We want more characters. We want more stuff. We want. Someone's got to turn around and be able to package that together. And unfortunately, it costs money. But the passes tend to come packed with, again, multiple levels, multiple characters. It's not like we're paying one by one. We're turning around a nickel and dime and we're saying, oh, I want something new. Here's $1. Here's $1. Here's $1. And then eventually has to build up before we get something. If we turn around and get it up front, not only do we get everything we want, we get multiple content coming out for the next, let's call it 4 months or whatever it is. But that money is what supports for our DLC. That money is what supports for the creation of more characters. It gets us what we want. We asked for this when we were younger. We wanted games that have everything. We're getting everything. That's good. Everybody assumes now that it's bad. How is it bad if we're not having to buy a $90 game every 6 months because a new character comes out? I mean, that's how it is. This is how we learn new characters. This is how we learn new stuff. As kids, and we forget, for the people that grew up in the games before the internet was a thing and all this DLC was the stuff, we had to turn around and be content with what we had. We had Street Fighter 2. We may not have liked Guile, but we learned how to play Guile. We love Guile. Learn to play everybody. That stuff is kind of gone. Now people want to pick and choose one character out of a game of 15 and 20 different characters on the board as a base game. It's ridiculous. Like we need to go back. We need to reassess how we're viewing this stuff and understand that battle passes are not bad. They help. They're good.
Roderick.
All right. I'd like to take your attention back to not far to a game called X Defiant, who decided that its second season or third season will be its last. The problem with service games is that service games can go away just like that. And people will have paid their money for season passes for things that they might not necessarily have wanted. And they are paying for the promise of the game that may never be. We pay enough now in the base game, and now we're paying for each character that comes out in a season pass. That's enough. Season passes are becoming just a problem, and the problem is not going to be completely seen until we have a developer that does pull some scummy stuff. And then everybody's going to say, oh, that right there is the problem. I'm telling you before, the service model is the promise of the game. And that is something that we should completely get rid of. Give me the game, finish it. I don't care how long it takes. Go ahead and finish it and stop releasing the game in an unfinished state or with features taken out or with everything else. I pay too much for a game now not to have a full experience.
That's fair. Gibby Giberson, your final words.
I guess on one hand, I agree that fight pass and these kind of things are good for the game. I agree that I would love to see the game get better over time. I don't know if I would have liked Tekken 7 in its early stages, but I got to enjoy it later on at the end of its stage. So I think updates are good. That being said, do I think the current model is the perfected model at the end of the day? No. I think they still got a long way to go. And sadly, I think the consumers are going to just have to eat the cost of them doing trial and error from time to time. And that's kind of how it is. Do I personally have a solution to the economic struggles of the gaming industry? No. And I think that's as well. They don't have the answer to that either. So I think there's got to be a fine line of them trying things out. And if it doesn't work, we just have to voice our opinion that sucks. And it needs to get better. That's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. We're gonna end on this. Battle passes, they have their negatives, but they also have their positives. I'd like to point you to Killer Instinct 2013, a passion project that was brought out by Double Helix and then taken over by Iron Galaxy. In season 1, you got to pay your pass for $29.99. They gave you KI 1 and 2, and they gave you the first 6 characters that were ready at launch. The other 2, when they were created, Fulgore and Spinal. And if you bought the Microsoft Xbox card to pay for your live to play, you got a redemption code for Shadow Jago. At the time, Shadow Jago was only a skin. During the life of the game, Iron Galaxy took over. Microsoft wanted to raise some money for charity, and they turned Shadow Jago into a real boy by you paying for, I believe it was $4.99 or $9.99 for the character. You support the charity, you got your character, and for those who didn't want to pay for the character, you got the character Omen for free. If character passes will help the life of a game, I'm all for it. Even more to a point of that, if it's going to do something positive for the community, I'm all for that. But some games who have chosen to charge you $50, $60 for characters that might have just been licenses your Go Faces, your Conans, et cetera. Or charge $50 for 4 characters and 2 stages might be a little egregious. It might be time for people to sit back and really think about, what the real cost is for doing it. If you love a game, awesome. Support your game. There's nothing wrong with that at all. No one can tell you right or wrong. But however, you have to always remember there's the other side of the fence. I'm Mike Valtrez. This was the Gas Station Network, and this was Attack and Defend. Let us know in the comments what you guys think below, and we'll catch you on the next one.